recording, and we are in progress. Ladies and gentlemen, you're joining us in progress
Yes.
for the Andy Show, Tandy Show, Little Orphan Andy Show,
Candy show?
Candy Show. That's the Andy Show where we give out candy.
Yeah, to ourselves.
Yep. Joe, as you may very well note, is wearing a gray sweatshirt with big, wide black suspenders. Yeah. When we first got on Zoom, that was the first thing I saw, and now I can't unsee it. Welcome to the show. I am very happy to be back here. Joe has been waiting on Zoom for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
He's been on the same call, just waiting for me to pick up.
I had to upgrade to the paying version of Zoom because it only lasts 40 minutes. So I was like, well,
Yes.
I'm going to need a lot more than 40 minutes.
You are. Yeah, you needed however many minutes it was that I was in Europe,
Yeah.
365,600 minutes or whatever Rick
Yes.
would say.
Yeah,
Welcome to the
it's
show.
exactly-
We are back. I am back in America, back in this room, and back in your hearts. Joe, before we started, you were talking about your current journey. I'll talk about Europe and touring and everything, but just an update on Joe Teaches America.
Yes.
What have you, obviously you're getting into it, you're getting your hands dirty, as they say. By the way, I watched a very strange collection of movies. Juliet and I were talking about on the flight. You know, I 13 hours of travel on the way home, and I had already watched everything that I had downloaded because we were flying constantly anyway.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna use the television from the 1920s that's in the headrest of my seat here, and where they had the remote still, was that thing? Yeah, not touchscreen. And really, what are you doing, Virgin Atlantic? The other weird thing is that the flight home featured a very interesting thing, which was that the plane was about 340 degrees Fahrenheit when we got on, and they kept saying there's a problem, not specifying what the problem was, and that it would get fixed once we were in the air. And I'm someone who enjoys hot weather.
Yeah.
You know, I'm okay with it. And I was getting a little overwhelmed. So I was getting increasingly concerned for the very many elderly passengers who were using the safety instruction manual to fan themselves.
Sure. Yes.
This way.
Yes.
And anyway, it's fine. Everybody was fine, but it just popped into my head. Anyway, so I watched a collection of films, one of them being The Prestige, which I hadn't watched in years.
Yes. Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Walken, Crispin Glover, Rice Krispie treats, Christmas,
And Chris Biersack was in it.
Crispy, star of Mindhunter. Yes, Crispy, your order's ready. Is that a reference that I've made on the show? Crispy, your order's ready.
No.
When I was a kid, back in the day, B and the D,
Mhm.
we would go to a restaurant called Fuddruckers, which I believe is now defunct.
They exist,
and
but there's
they
few and far
exist.
between.
The only other one I knew about besides the Western Hills one, which is long gone, very near Scallywag Tag, by the way, on Glenway. There was one in Burbank that I also is notable because I went to it to have the first meeting that I ever had with a manager who managed us for about 2 weeks
Oh, that's
before
right.
calling me to say that there was nothing to manage and that we weren't going anywhere.
Who suggested Fuddruckers as the meeting location?
He did. The reason that I remember that, or that it stuck in my head so much, is that during the course of that, the thing that he was most excited about talking about was that he had just come to this Fuddruckers with Andrew Dice Clay, because Andrew Dice Clay's son was starting a rock band, and they had the like inside scoop on managing the Dice Man's kid. And the Dice Man cometh to that Fuddruckers and ordered. And I'm not sure what he ordered, but when I was a kid, we used to go there and you'd make your order and then they would make it at the back and then they'd announce that it was ready for you via the loudspeaker. And my dad, Chris Biersack, they would say just the first letter of your last name. So they would say, Crispy, your order's ready. And as a child, boy, did I laugh at Crispy, your order's ready. So at least twice a month, if I hear, I don't know why I'm hearing the word crispy so often, but if I do hear it, I think crispy, your order's ready. Anyway, so I watched.
Back to a wonderful time.
I have no idea how I got to talking about how I watched The Prestige. There was something that I said early in this conversation that sparked that memory, and then it's so long gone that I have no way of getting back to why I started this tangent.
And I think someone could review the tape, and this was an internal logic that got
exactly. I didn't say, you know why I'm bringing this up. I gave you nothing. And so there would be no way for any of us, barring me suddenly discovering why I was talking about this, of ever getting back to why I mentioned The Prestige, how I got to that point.
I just think it's amazing. And it really it's not surprising that your relationship with that manager lasted 2 weeks when he chose to set the meeting at Fuddruckers. I think you can say it says a lot about a person.
We went to 2 restaurants ever. We went to, one was Fuddruckers, and that was like the get to know you, this is going to be great. Yeah. You're going to be a star kid meeting.
That's when they're whining and dining you.
The very second meeting, which it felt like a long time because I was 17 or 18. In reality, it was probably like a week. The very second meeting was at the City Walk Hard Rock restaurant, the Hard Rock Cafe restaurant.
It's lazy, but that's kind of on brand, I guess.
The tone of that meeting or dinner was, you're completely fucked. The record deal that you have with this independent label is going to destroy your career. There's nothing that I can do, and you will never make $1 from music, and you're fucked. And believe it or not, as a teenager, I was destroyed by this information that so early in my life, my career was already completely ruined because I had signed a record deal with an independent record company that didn't have much money. As it turns out, as we sit here today, dear listener, that did not ruin my career. We are, in fact, yet to see what ruins my career. So still forthcoming. So he was incorrect about that. Then he called me, and there were some other bands who I won't mention because I'm not trying to be mean, but there were some other artists that he was managing, all of whom are more likely to not have an audience at their show than have an audience, is how I'll put that. It is more likely if they were to put on a show today that there would not be people there than the likelihood that people would attend. All of them were, as he said, more surefire things and had a lot less baggage with their record deals. The side part of that is that the management company was also associated with a record deal, and he wanted to sign us this record deal. So there was no way, because of the way that with the fact we already had a deal, for them to do that. So what they were was essentially like a backdoor company that would sign somebody and then assign them to a deal. I didn't understand any of this business when I was a teenager, but what he was saying was, you're fucked with us because we can't sign you to this label, therefore there's no use or value to you. And it's extremely unethical and frowned upon in the music industry to have a manager that works at your label. It's a little bit of it's a massive conflict of interest, but that was how that worked.
Agreed. And then did you also have to pay for the parking at City Walk? I hope so. That would really
because I had to drive there in my Cadillac Eldorado. So I remember exactly one thing. This is also before I started drinking. So I have vivid food memories. I had just some fantastic cheese fries with a dark barbecue sauce, which I don't know if you're familiar, but the darker the barbecue sauce, the better it is with a fry. You want like a semi-sweet barbecue sauce.
The darker, really the more smoky, right? Kind of a smoky quality.
More smoky. There's a smoky afterbirth to it.
Nothing like a great smoky afterbirth.
So years later, that gentleman managed a band that opened for us on a tour. And I made a big deal of pretending to be extremely important and famous in front of him, sort of putting on airs. I think I'm just shy of answering pretend phone calls in front of him about like, oh, I can't talk about those millions of dollars right now. Call me later. Meanwhile, I'm, I'm only slightly more successful than I was at the time that he dumped us, and I certainly didn't have any millions of dollars.
Sure.
So
I wish I could have seen that.
well, you can, because I've invented a machine that we can go back and watch really mundane memories of me overdoing it to try to impress people. Wouldn't that suck if time travel was invented, but the only means of dealing with it was to watch yourself embarrass yourself?
Yeah, yeah. No highlights. It's only just mundane or lowlights.
Speaking of time travel, every European McDonald's features green branding, no red, green and yellow. I have been to Europe many, many times. I have never noticed this before. I believe that this was a very specific time bandit who had the idea of coming back and changing all of the McDonald's color scheme to fuck with those of us boots on the ground, so to speak. If you know anything else about this, please let me know. Germany specifically, you will not find a McDonald's that features red branding whatsoever. It is all green and yellow. So
can you imagine what I wonder if there would be a butterfly effect just by changing the colors of McDonald's. How would the world change? We'll find out.
By the way, generally, for the best car insurance rates in town, kind of 1-800. I generally will look up stuff, but phone service being what it is for us in Europe, I didn't have the data while passing all of these, and then by the time I'd get to some place where I could sleep, that was really my main interest.
You didn't happen to call me from Bulgaria, did you?
No, I wasn't there.
So I didn't think so. I got a call from there, and I couldn't remember exactly where you were, and I didn't pick up. But I thought afterwards, I hope.
Well, yeah. Well, I always buy a phone everywhere I go for just to call you, so that my number is specific to where I am, so you can remember.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, well, hopefully it's not like a taken situation, and just had to call.
I went down the Rolodex, called Juliet, she didn't answer. Called my parents, they didn't answer. Got to you. Yeah. But for sure, Joe will help me.
Yep. But I just ignored the call.
Yeah. So again, the Prestige.
Yes, it all comes back to the Prestige.
Can't for the life of me figure out why. I do want to know, Joe, how is teaching?
So the big news is that I have a job for next school year. I'm teaching at a high school in South LA, and I'm teaching 3 film classes, and I'm building the class from nothing. It didn't exist, and now it does.
Yeah, I thought it was strange that you have to build the school.
The whole school.
Jimmy Carter style. You have to get down on your hands and knees.
Yep, we're working with Habitat for Humanity. I've also become a peanut farmer. I'm just all in on the Jimmy Carter way of life.
That's why you're wearing the suspenders over a sweatshirt. That's a very Jimmy Carter move, I believe.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so I'm teaching 3 film classes and 3 history classes. One is an AP U.S. history class, which I'm a little intimidated about because I could not have been farther from taking that class in high school. That was not an option.
I feel like I would ace that. Alternative press U.S. history. Yeah. I played a big part in it over the last decade.
That's true.
Yeah. The history of alternative press as taught by Joe in schools, in the school he built, like Jimmy Carter.
It's a required class. Everybody has to take it. And so I'm excited about it. Had our first faculty meeting. Everybody got out last Friday. It was the last day of school. And then all the faculty had to show up at 8 a.m. on Saturday. And so I'm there like eager to get going and asking questions about the new school year. And everyone's like, fuck off, basically, because they just want to go home and not be in school because they've just done it for a year, which I understand. So, I'm just going to keep bothering people throughout the summer to get, answers to my various questions.
Yeah.
Mainly, how do I build a school? That's the biggest one. That
it's a significant question that I believe you probably should have asked before starting.
Yeah. During the contract negotiations, I should have demanded at least like a manual of some kind.
Yeah.
Or a man named Manuel who could have helped me, or a manual written by
a man named Emmanuel.
Yes, any of those. I should have demanded. I demanded none of those, and as a result, I'm feeling a little lost. But
you're an advanced placement of being fucked.
Yes.
So all right, well that's fantastic. As you guys know, I have been in Europe and the UK, had a wonderful tour. I would say that of all of the times that we've traveled overseas, this is the most fun as a band we've ever had. We just really, I mean, it's because of COVID and everything, things are different than they used to be when it comes to travel. And like we were in a situation where we mostly had to travel by van to gig, sitting in this little van together, and then we go to airports and fly, and then our gear would get shipped off, and then we were going to airports every day, and then back into vans. And so we were spending, when you're in a bus or whatever, sometimes you're just kind of in your own place, and so there just weren't really any buses for rental. And we were talking to some other bands who we know at some of these festivals, and they were all in the same situation. And I think for us, it resulted in a very fun time. It was exhausting in many ways, physically exhausting. You're playing a festival, then rushing to the airport and flying at 6 a.m., then trying to play a show as soon as you land. It was just kind of nuts, but we really enjoyed it, and we enjoyed each other's company and had a lot of fun. And so, yeah, I mean, I would just positive experience all the way around. The festivals were incredible. For us, historically, playing some of these places, Rock am Ring, Rock am Park, Download, it was very fun to come back to these places where, we weren't the new band that people were angry at.
Right.
The audience was there to see our songs, and the people who didn't know about us were receptive to hearing our music and weren't
Right.
throwing bottles of pee at us. So it was a lot of fun. We played some headline shows. We played in Budapest. We played Germany. Those were fantastic experiences. Unfortunately, one show got canceled the day of, which
Yeah.
was
What happened?
a festival called Nova Rock in Vienna. We were literally getting in the van to head to the place, and all morning I had been told that there was significant rain that had come in, and that I suppose the infrastructure for this place was not really built for that to happen. I guess it doesn't rain heavily there often. I think the promoter said that it hadn't rained since November of last year or something.
Oh,
And
wow.
all this rain came, and it's in a big dirt field, and that dirt field turned into something akin to like the monster in the third season of Stranger Things, where it's just this sort of like,
Oh,
giant
shit.
mass that's going around and sucking things up. And I was getting sent video and photos by our crew who were already there, like waiting to load the stage. And this is 15 minutes before we're getting in the van to leave to go down there and get set up. And we were told that they were calling it because there were sinkholes that were opening up. And
Holy
like
shit.
from what I was told, the porta potties were falling into these sinkholes, so there was no bathrooms. Our stage was tilting and falling into a sinkhole. They wound up closing. There were two stages that were like the main stages. They closed our stage entirely and tried to migrate bands over. So we were told basically, your stage doesn't exist, you're not playing, and what can you do? So it's one of those situations where it's very rare that you're sharing information that you're not playing a show that isn't like there's nothing we could do. But you know what I mean? Like when it's
Right.
like,
Right.
hey, and when we made the announcement, we really knew nothing. And the other problem is, we were playing Download the next day, and it would have been great to be able to get to the UK earlier, but our flight was scheduled to take off with enough time for us to get from the festival to the airport, check all of our gear, get checked in, then fly to the UK. So we didn't end up getting to uh, we stayed in Manchester. We didn't end up getting to Manchester until about 1 in the morning, and then our lobby call for Download was 8 a.m. So going into Download, getting very little sleep, and a very crazy kind of 24-hour situation. But we're back now. Download was incredible. Just about the most fun I think I've ever had on stage at a festival in our career. Favorite Download we've ever done in terms of the show. It was just unbelievable, and we really had so much fun, and we're looking forward to now finally, after all these years, going to Australia in a couple of weeks. So coming up, geez, let's see here. It'll be, as of recording this, exactly 2 weeks until we fly. So,
Right. I wonder where you're actually going since Australia doesn't exist.
oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Just somewhere in the South Pacific. We're going into the musical, the South Pacific.
Well, that's awesome.
I was
Were you
watching The
sleeping?
Prestige, and it's over, and no, I cannot remember why I mentioned The Prestige, and it's driving me insane.
Well, I have a few questions about your Euro trip.
Okay.
were you all sleeping in the van down by the river?
Yeah. Well, Chris Farley was on there in spirit this whole
Was
time.
he driving the bus or the van?
Yeah. I guess I
good.
was gonna say now I'm driving the bus, but that's the wrong reference.
Yeah. What is that from?
Seinfeld.
Uh,
When Kramer takes over driving the bus and he's making all the stops.
right.
He goes, now I'm driving the bus.
But also, it must have been, it's kind of poetic in a way, like with how the band started and all the years of when you were initially traveling in a van, to be able to do that again now, all these years later. I don't know, it must have been kind of cool to see how the context of why you were in the band and what was going on with the band has changed, but you guys are still together. And
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The subtext of all of this is this was fun. Aren't we lucky that we don't have to do this? You know what I mean? Like I should mention that it's not a hardship for us because it's 2 weeks and like there are bands who are, as we were when we first started, touring in cars and hustling, and you know there's no guarantee of a hotel, or there's no guarantee that eventually you'll get back into your comfortable digs. So I don't want to paint the picture like, can you believe that we went through this hardship?
No, not at all.
But
I guess
it was certainly, for us, it's been many years. I mean, when we first started touring, we were touring in cars, literally 2 cars, with our feet sticking out the windows to try to sleep. So it's definitely something that we did, but it's been many, many years, as you say, and it felt like going back kind of in the time machine in a lot of ways. And just telling stories and jokes. You know, when you're in a van together, there's nothing but story time and joke time and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it was a very interesting and fun situation. I do want to say, by the way, as of recording this today, my mom is recuperating from, she had corrective surgery on her knee yesterday.
Right.
Like a knee replacement surgery. So today they're recovering, and unfortunately the power is out in a lot of greater Cincinnati. So they are dealing with the day after a major surgery and all of their power's out at home. So everybody, please send your good wishes and good vibes to my mom and dad as they're dealing with some very difficult situations in the wake of a pretty big surgery.
Yeah, and that was a fairly long time coming, right? I mean, I'm glad she was able to get it. You know, yeah, I was talking with her about it a couple months ago, so I'm glad.
Yeah,
glad it was able to happen.
It went down. I saw that your parents got a new dog.
Yes, they did. They adopted it yesterday. Or no, Sunday. Its name is Pepper, and it looks like Wishbone.
Yeah, I thought Pepper looked like my dog growing up, Copper, the beagle.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Similar features.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, they're excited about that. We are exploring getting another dog as well.
Are you gonna go with a big dog so that you can have like the puzzle piece scenario?
Oh yeah, yes, definitely. I think that's what this apartment needs, is just like a
bull mastiff.
Bull mastiff, yes.
I'm gonna find out what the average weight of a bull mastiff is.
I would guess 140, given that my brother and then my parents had
130 pounds.
Okay, yeah. What about like a Pyrenees, or what's the Newfoundland? That's a country, but isn't that a kind of dog?
Yeah, there's a Newfoundland. The English Mastiff is officially the world's biggest dog breed, weighing as much as 200 pounds.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna get to go.
All right, I want to see what an English Mastiff looks like. Oh wow, these things are fucking big. Jesus.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Here's a man with an English Mastiff.
Oh. That is a very large dog.
Yeah.
No, we're looking at something much smaller. And Karina, actually, we were talking about names and throwing a few out. And then Karina suggested Ned, and I can't believe I never thought of it. So we're just going to go full Ned Flanders.
Ned Flanders.
We end up getting the dog.
Boy, that has to be it.
Right.
There's no question that has to be it.
Yeah, taking it to the vet or whatever else, to say Ned Flanders. It's great. So he keeps trying to tinker with it. I'm like, no, why mess with it? It's great.
I think Ned is the name. Ned's got to be the name.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Well,
think it will be.
Joseph, you were mentioning before we started that,
Yeah.
and you were correct in mentioning this, that we did a Would You Rather many weeks ago, and we did a poll,
Yes.
and I would like to share the results of said poll.
Absolutely.
Let's see here.
I'm going to pull it up too.
Okay, just to recap. Would you rather take an 80-minute chunky rotten milk bath or eat a snot-filled jelly donut, or, oh, this was a three-parter, that's right.
Yeah.
Or eat chocolate brownies made of dog poop?
It's a hard-hitting question.
So take an 80-minute chunky rotten milk bath, eat a snot-filled donut, eat a chocolate brownie made of dog poop. Overwhelming response here, by the way. It wasn't close.
Nope.
Everybody says take an 80-minute chunky rotten milk bath, which I believe to some degree is the correct answer because it's the least dangerous of all of them.
Is it?
Yeah, no, it's not gonna like the old milk isn't gonna like get into your pores and fuck you up.
I don't know.
I don't think so. Let's find out. I don't know if this Google search is going to render anything. Can you get sick from
rotten milk bath?
Old milk on skin?
Google.
As long as it's pasteurized, sour milk is unlikely to make you sick. As milk ages, it becomes more acidic, creating an environment unfriendly to microbes that might cause illness. Some people use spoiled milk as a facial. The presence of enzymes and probiotics in the soured milk is highly helpful in improving your skin.
Well, how about
you can
that?
have a facial with the soured milk, and it is known as a lactic acid facial. So it brightens skin tone.
Patrons, have any of you given yourself a facial with sour milk? Please let us know.
Besides the unpleasant taste and smell, spoiled milk can cause nausea, stomach cramps, or diarrhea if ingested. So clearly, I see what I don't like about this is that we've presented one option that is nothing.
What do you mean?
One of these choices is nothing other than an endurance test of just doing it. Do you know what I mean? But there's no actual repercussion. Eating a snot-filled jelly donut.
Unless you fall asleep.
I suppose. I don't know what the inherent danger in eating a jelly-filled or snot-filled jelly donut is.
As long as the snot is also pasteurized, like the milk, then you're probably fine. I only eat pasteurized snot.
You get pasteurized every day.
Yes.
Eating a chocolate brownie, which chocolate is deceptive because I don't believe that there's any chocolate.
Right. Yeah, that's true. We replaced the chocolate with poop.
That's like saying that this is like a green apple wall because the light is green. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
Yes. It's true.
Eating a chocolate brownie made of dog poop. Your dog or mystery dog poop is acceptable.
Now, 3 people did vote for that.
I do wish I could see who the 3 people are.
Yeah. I clicked on. I could open a.
Let's not put anybody on blast. Let's let these
No,
people be who they want to be here.
Oh, I do know though. I have the data. But
so that's good to know. By the way, if you vote, Joe can figure out who you are. So vote.
I know.
Vote in a way that isn't embarrassing to Joe.
And I assure you, I will review all of these in great detail, every question.
Yeah, make sure Joe doesn't feel weird about you. Okay, so the winner is take a chunky
milk bath, rotten milk bath.
Take a chunky. Call it taking a chunky.
And I do appreciate the 50+ comments on this post. We have a lot of opinions.
Well, thank you guys for waiting so long for this. Congrats. All
Yeah.
right, let's put out another one for this week before we go any further. Stop
Yes.
right there before I go any further. Do you love me? Will you love me forever? Will you leave me? Or will
Now
you
and
never leave
forever?
me? You make me so happy for the rest of my life. Will you take me away and will you make me your wife? I gotta know right now, before we go any further, would you love me? Would you love me forever? So what's it gonna be, boy? Yes or no? Let me sleep on it. Baby, baby, let me sleep on it. Let me sleep on it. I'll give you an answer in the morning. The morning, I'll tell you in the morning. I got to know right now before we go any further, do you love me? Will you love me forever? I got an email right as I finished that. Very dramatic.
Is it from Meatloaf?
No, it's from the place that we used to board our dog at when we were gone. Yes, Daredevil's former shelter, not shelter. I don't know what you call it.
Boarding location.
Yeah. I say used to. One time did.
Yeah, and now
and then never did again because it was just we felt too bad about it. He was there for one day, and I had like a panic attack about the whole thing.
I understand.
It was during our wedding, and I don't even know if I've told this story. I may have told this on the show before. It was during our wedding, and we wanted him to be taken care of for the day because otherwise he would have had to be alone. The place that we were doing the wedding wouldn't allow us to bring him there. So I was like, okay, we'll go to this place that's super high rated and nice. And I was sucked in, unfortunately, by the fact that their Instagram also touted as like fancy celebrity dog care facility.
Dog motel or hotel.
Yeah, dog hotel. And was like, okay, this will be good. He'll be all right. Called them like 13 times in the week leading up, told them about his disability, made sure that they would take care of him the whole day. Go back the day after the wedding to grab him. He's only there for a total of like whatever, less than 24 hours.
Yes.
He's fine. He was totally taken care of. They were gushing over him. It was great. But the day before, when I dropped him off, they said, well, what are you doing? And I said, oh, my wife and I are getting married. And we weren't, at the time, we really wanted to kind of keep it just a family and not have it be a big thing.
Right.
And the day of our wedding, there's a TMZ article that comes out about
that's right,
how we're getting married in secret and all this bullshit.
Was it the hotel, the dog hotel?
Yes, and they cite the yeah.
That's insane.
They either cite it or there's some reference to it in the article. And so I was very displeased when I picked him up, and they insisted that it wasn't them. And then eventually, I believe the manager apologized to us. But I'm still, unfortunately, on their emailing list. So.
Wow, that's crazy. I totally forgot about it. I don't even know if I knew how it got out. I remember that being an issue the day of.
And I've said to the person when I picked him up, I was like, you understand that, like, we're not real celebrities. Like, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, there's not any value in this for you.
Right.
I can't imagine you got paid for this story. It's not a big scoop. All the comments on the post were, who the fuck are these people? Like, that was, you know what I mean? Like, that. It was a little like you did this for no reason. Anyway.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, was it us? It's like we've literally told no one else.
Yeah. Mistake on my part. Now I don't tell dog people nothing.
That's good. They cannot be trusted.
I've always said that.
You have.
All right.
Absolutely.
Let's get another would you rather going here.
Definitely.
All right. Would you rather have small chickens in your mouth that act as teeth and chew all your food for you? So your mouth is full of tiny chickens.
Yes. The size of teeth?
Yeah. Tiny, tiny chickens, the size of human teeth.
Yeah.
Sentient chickens.
Yes.
So they're upset about being in your mouth.
Yeah. Nobody's happy about this situation.
Trying to be chickens. And their little feet step on all your food. It takes a long time to eat. I guess they would probably eat some of the food too.
Yeah.
You'd have to eat, if you cared about your teeth, the way that, essentially what's happening is, the way that you're supposed to brush your teeth and do all that stuff to take care of your enamel, you would have to treat your diet now similarly because you'd have to eat food that was good for chickens.
Yes,
You
exactly.
couldn't eat stuff that chickens couldn't process because they would die and then you'd lose teeth.
Right. Now, are their feet stuck up in your gums? Is that like the roots, as it were? And then are they using their mouth to then process the food?
I gotta see if I have any kind of Sharpie or anything here. We can do a diagram.
Yeah, let's really paint a picture here. Or draw one, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any. I'm gonna paint. I may have to paint a picture.
You just happen to have an easel and
let's see. Yeah, I've got leather paint and a paintbrush. So,
great.
Apologies to Cherry. I'm gonna have to paint here on the back of your card that you sent along with the Would You Rather book.
That's fair.
I only have a really wide brush here, so
we'll see how
this may or may not work out.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
yeah. I feel like the feet would then be the roots.
Okay. Yeah, no, this is too wide for me really to do any kind of detail.
Maybe one chicken tooth.
Yeah, we're gonna do one. And I can't really draw a chicken because I'm dealing here with a very wide brush.
I don't see the problem. Seems very doable. Extra wide paintbrush.
Yeah.
It lends itself to detailed drawings of sorts.
Okay, so here we go. Can you see that? Okay, so what we've got here,
yeah,
that's the gum line, right there.
Yes.
And then the head of the chicken, and there's the feet.
Oh, you got the feet down there. Okay.
So the head is attached to the gum line. And so the feet, food comes in here-ish. This is a poop brownie that you're eating.
Right.
And then the chicken uses its feet there and it steps on that poop brownie up and down.
Like it's mashing grapes.
Yeah, and then it swallows it down the gullet, which is back here somewhere, back and around this general area.
Okay. Okay.
That's how I see it. You know, I might be wrong.
Well, who's to say?
Hard to say what it is I see, and you wonder if I'll always be with you. Words can't say it. I can't do enough to prove.
It's all
for
you. All of it.
Hard to say what it is
I see in you. Wonder if I'll always be with you.
Words
can't say. I can't do
enough
to prove all for you.
And
then there's the scat version.
Would you rather have scat in your mouth? Would you rather have small chickens in your mouth that act as teeth and shoot your food for you? Or have small flies in your eyes that let you see 10 times better?
Oof.
And now our third option is, because now we has to be a
that's
3.
new. Right.
Or would you rather have, every time you burp, the head of a fish comes out?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one.
The whole head.
See, the other one, well, because the fly one, at least there's a positive, right? Because you can see better. But are they all buzzing around? Do they? I have questions about these fly eyes.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you seeing through the eyes of the flies?
Right. Yes.
Jeff Goldblum is in there.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yep. Boy. Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is.
Is there any positive that comes with the fish head coming out of your mouth when you burp?
No, just gross.
No. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right, boy, that's a doozy.
So to review, this week's question is chicken teeth, fly eyes, fish burp.
Yes. Yep.
We will
3.
post this. Vote wisely because Joe is watching.
Yes. Yeah. And we'll discuss the answers next week.
We'll find out on another thrilling adventure here on Candy Show, where we give out candy.
Yes. Yeah. I don't have any candy. Do you?
I got these icebreaker mints.
Oh, all right. The adult
Now I
candy.
can't pick 'em. I got this.
You suck on them or chew them right away?
Chew them right away.
Mm.
Chew one right now. I've never really been able to have the patience to wait on hard candy.
Got it.
Just go
Yeah.
right for it.
Yeah. It's a reasonable strategy. Nice little kick.
No, it's my wink to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'm on the flight back. I'm flying back home into Tampa, and
It's a furnace, right?
What?
It's a furnace. Still 250 degrees.
It's a different flight. I had to get a
Oh.
connection.
Okay.
So I've been flying now for 13 hours. Exhausted. Got an hour flight ahead of me. I just want to get home. And person next to me is inebriated.
Yes.
And I'm wearing a hat that has it's a throwback Tampa Bay Devil Rays hat.
Okay.
And she sees the hat and wants to talk to me about when she was a child and would go to games with her dad.
Memories that you can share about with the Tampa Bay Rays.
And her life story changes so many times. She grew up in Tampa and went to games with her dad. And then a second later grew up in St. Louis and went to games with her dad. And then became a Cubs fan because she grew up in Chicago. Now, we have previously established that I am not really interested in talking to people.
Yes. Yes.
On a plane.
Yes.
Or frankly, anywhere.
Yeah.
So I put on my headphones in the middle of her talking. I do sort of the George Carlin bit, the talking the conversation to a landing.
Uh-huh.
Oh wow, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I already had one in, so she's talking over the one that's facing her.
Sure.
So now I'm going for both. I'm kind of hands out and then in.
Yeah, right.
So then I'm listening to stuff and the flight takes off and she falls asleep.
Good.
And I'm on this side and she goes just the full with
So she's in your lap.
hood over face, inebriated, sort of that dead sleep where you look at the person and they appear to be dead.
Yes.
And the person on the window seat, I'm now trying to have a shared experience with someone else going like, I would like for this not to be happening.
Right. Yes.
I'm also not heavily interested in putting my hands upon this woman and trying to physically move her. That's not a thing that I'm going to do.
Right.
What other human being, what would you have me do here? And that person responds to my "I please"
Yes.
with a sort of
I don't know what to make of that face.
What I believe was happening was that this person mistakenly thought that the two of us were together and I was looking for a "isn't she cute" sort of a so now I'm really trying to
What face could you possibly have made for this person to judge? Like, how? I'm sure you looked like irritated, panicked, and she goes, yes, boy, you two are quite a couple.
So at some point, this person figures out that that is not what's happening.
Sure.
And she says, why don't you just shove her over? And I said, I am really not interested in that. I understand that that may be a thing. but it just feels too aggressive with a stranger to just shove their body.
Right.
It's just weird. It's a weird thing all the way around. I'm not sure how to handle it.
Sure.
So she says to me, she starts to shake the person a little bit, minorly. And
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there. And then no good deed goes unpunished. The drunk person wakes up only enough to do this. Onto the lap of the person at the window. So she's now looking at me
The same
to
way.
say, this isn't great. And I go, no, I don't know what to do. For the remainder of this hour flight, the person vacillates between my shoulder and this other person's shoulder. And appears dead for the whole flight. We land. Right. She wakes up and is just totally fine and doesn't acknowledge the fact that she spent the whole flight sort of back and forth sleeping on two different people.
Oscillating between the two of you. Great. Wow. Boy, that's a new one. I haven't had that.
In retrospect, I believe the move probably would have been, excuse me, but
yes, words.
I have an inability in social situations, as we know, to handle it expediently or in a way that makes the most sense. So I chose the most Andy path forward, which was, boy, I hope something is done about this.
Somebody
it doesn't involve me doing anything about it. I would love for the end result that I am hoping for it to occur, but I'm unwilling to do anything to make that result happen.
Unable. It's not possible. Can't be done. What's funny, I didn't think about saying excuse me either. I was going to say you could do the old it's not a, just kind of like pop her up and down on your arm.
Yeah.
So her head
it's too weird.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is, and again, this is going to come off as humble brag, but there is some level of, I am a public figure to some degree.
Yes.
It is not uncommon, in fact, throughout that day, where one person maybe on a flight will recognize me, say something to me about that, take a picture with me. Then they sit on that plane and look at me for the rest of the flight.
Right, yeah.
So there was a person who came up when we were boarding that took a picture with me on that flight. So I'm now thinking, boy, I sure hope that that person isn't looking at me right now. And if they are, I'm not so sure that I am interested in the head bob move of somebody.
True.
There's that. And then on the other hand, I have a huge interest in not touching strangers.
Yes.
So it's a couple things that are combining there to make it so the scenario for me plays out where I'm just letting this happen, hoping that it will stop.
It's a lot to process.
Really
so there you were. You were just
so dear viewers and listeners, if you find yourself in a similar situation, just know I have no advice for you because I don't know how to handle any social situation.
Yeah. I think you handled it perfectly.
Thank you, Joe.
Yes.
And thank you to everyone who watched this week. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Happy to be back. I'm here, like I said, for 2 weeks, then I go to Australia. Hopefully we're able to do some shows from Australia, but otherwise we'll be back to a regular schedule as the summer progresses and making more shows for you. So you've got your Would You Rathers this week. You've got your awkward Andy social story. I'd just like to end this by saying that I watched The Prestige on my flight.
Perfect.
Godspeed, John Glenn.